He's heavily into health and fitness.
Right.
And I'm like, I might as well just sit back and let the two of you guys just go. I'm sure this is the way this direction is going to go. Now, I'm going to get a lot of street cred because my wife and my daughter watch Dancing with the Stars.
Come on.
So we don't need to talk football. We don't need to do anything. We're just going to have a good time. Do you want to start with health? I mean, that's your thing.
So historically, I invented the pizza diet. This was back before science was really the prevalent driving force in nutrition. So before macronutrients and tracking macros and flexible dieting was a thing, I had a pizza diet that I wanted to show pizza was a healthy food. So I applied science, discipline, hard work, motivation, and I became a professional bodybuilder at 41 years old with a pizza-only diet. And as the science has evolved, now I'm doing cold plunges and sun treatment to raise human growth hormone naturally. So to get all the benefits out of anti-aging and performance and muscle density, muscle maturity. And then in May...
Here's why it's really ridiculous, this whole story of his.
Okay.
Now, all of that is true. But he rode a bicycle from Tampa, Florida to New York City. And I say you can eat a gallon of ice cream every day. If you ride a bike from Tampa to New York City, you're going to lose weight, right?
Yeah, it depends on, you got to figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Like, it depends. Like, we can have crazy analogies, crazy clickbait ideas, but you got to really dive into it. For example, I say there's no such thing as overtraining. And that's a trigger word, especially you understand it coming from the fitness world. I don't believe in overtraining. I believe in what? Under-resting. So it's just a philosophy of how I look at it, meaning work as hard as you possibly can in the gym, but rest properly.
See, I've always told you that you can't motivate me. Okay, you bore me. You can't. I'm already motivated. I'm getting ready to join a gym just because we're 12 seconds.
No, but you're right, because in the combat sport world, we saw everybody was building their fight camps up to the fight, and then there was nothing for the recovery after.
Right.
And now athletes are learning that the recovery aspect of training is equally, if not more important than the actual combat that they do.
Absolutely. Pizza only though. Now, what did you put? Is that heavy carb based?
So I switch out different crusts.
Okay.
So I use a whole wheat low carb crust, high in fiber, so dietary fiber. I use a high gluten New York style pizza. I do cauliflower. I do flax and millet, so it's grain free, gluten free, easy for digestion.
Okay.
So I get all my micro and macronutrients out of pizza. And after 16 weeks, I became a pro natural bodybuilder at 41 years old.
That's impressive, man.
So,
but he's not an author.
He's not an author yet.
Yeah, he's not. Well, no, he's not an author.
Okay.
But you know what? But talk about the motivational speaking part. So I started to do that myself. And when I wrote my book, I wrote it from a place of destroying other people's premises, concepts, to show my superiority over them. And by the time I came to publish, I had matured. And I said, you know what? I don't need to extinguish someone else's flame for mine to shine brighter. So I scrapped the book because it wasn't the right reflection of who I am as a man. And so I have to rewrite it. I got to start all over.
Hey, I respect that. Mad respect for that.
So let's get started, but I don't know where to start because your list, you've done 412 things in the last 2 days. How do you have time? You're talking about resting.
Right.
Do you rest at all? Because author, the motivational speaker, the Dancing with the Stars, which I know was not easy to do. Mm-hmm. All the preparation and all that. I mean, how do you have time to do this?
I really, I don't sleep that often. I'll be very honest. I do have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, so maybe that. Maybe my energy levels are just out of this world, but
blood cells is
100%. Yeah.
Matt doesn't let me sleep.
He doesn't let you sleep. He stays
he says
on.
I don't have many sleeps left.
True.
Okay. So stay awake.
Exactly.
And when it's all over, I'm going to head the microphone. So,
Yeah.
he's motivated to stay awake.
That's awesome, man.
Talk about your books as we're bouncing all around.
Yeah, man. My first book I wrote, titled The If in Life. It's a play on words when you spell out the word life. If is in the middle. So I went through 15 chapters, kind of exploiting how pivotal that one word is to the success and failures of our lives and and from that became a New York Times bestseller. It opened me up to continue to write books. I wrote a 4-book kids series called Arcade and the Triple T Token. It's a chronicle, and I wrote that with the intentionality of making reading addictive for young boys. I'm sure you appreciate this, but we've understood how they've made potato chips addictive, not having the ability to eat one. There's actually neurons that's released in our brains, and so it actually becomes an addiction. Is the amount of carbohydrate, sugar, and sodium. So I put a combination of plot twists inside of this book for young minds, and the amount of emails that I received, the amount of comments from teachers and parents, and more importantly, students, how much their kids are reading, how much the student is actually reading because of these books. It inspires me to continue to write. And I'm working on a book right now. It's called Individualized Words. That's rolling more so into relationships. And one of the things that I'm doing right now is building out a platform called After I Do, where men come together and actually talk about what happens after you say I do, the truth, from various ranges, right? And I think that's an important conversation that's not talked about enough on airwaves, on TV, or anything, is marriage. And from a man's perspective, where we can actually converse about things we wish we would have done better, can do better, will do better. Man, like, people don't know necessarily how to be married, right? You know, how do you handle the in-law situation? Whose house you going to for Christmas? Or how do you decide to raise a kid? Or politics? How much is it? Like, these are questions that if you go ask a 22-year-old who's not married, how would you handle this? Like, I don't know. But if you ask them who's the best athlete, they're gonna say they got an answer. If you ask them who's that best artist, they're gonna have an answer. But how do you handle marriage? Like, I don't know. Why do you think so many people struggle with succeeding at this art, this institution? Nobody talks about it.
That's interesting. I've been married 40 plus years.
Congrats, man.
My wife and I talked. I was in the military. I met her while I was in the military. We talked about getting married 2 weeks after we met. And I know I'm the lucky fortunate as you're talking about all that, but I'm thinking about some of the things you said, and you're right. You know, I loved my in-laws. How many people can say that?
Right.
You know, my in-laws moved 5 houses away from me. And typically, as I tell the story, and I know I can't keep you here all day because I would love to, people said, how bad was it? That's the first thing they say, how bad was it?
Interesting.
And my answer is, it was bad. It was 5 houses. It should have been 3. You know, it could have been next door. It's awesome. But we talked about 2 weeks. We got married 2 years later, in our 40th year. But it's all because of her that our marriage has gone so smooth. There's no doubt. Because of the in-laws, where do we go? And, you know, I'm like, no, we have to go to my parents. And she's like, all right, then we'll do ours next. You know,
right.
You know, but there's a lot of things that just has happened, but I've never thought about it the way you just said.
Yeah, and in that conversation right now, today, just because you said that on the airwaves, I guarantee you there's so many men that relate to that right now, and are actually going to use that soundbite to continue succeeding in their relationship. And so that's the thing that I'm doing. After I do, what happens? And I'm going to be leading that convo.
Probably the biggest thing that I could think about my marriage is I'm Jewish. My wife is not. My wife was not. Okay? And as we met and we talked about our future, she said, I'll never convert. And I said, that's great. I don't want you to convert. You know, I don't care what you are. You know, it's kind of like the world we are in today. You know,
right.
I don't care. I love you for who you are. And then as we had children and they started to go through Hebrew school, she did convert, but not because I wanted her to. It's because she wanted to.
Right. That's love. Man.
Yeah.
That's
myself,
a display.
18 years. I married a Brazilian girl, and the things you don't think
she's
about.
She's threatened to leave numerous times.
She should. She should go. But the thing for our marriage in particular, maybe it helped with your fan base, is when you marry someone from another country, like there's a grave sacrifice that one person's going to make to give up living so close in proximity. You know, her family, her culture, her life is in another hemisphere, and so she made grave sacrifices to be my wife and live in America. But those are things you don't think about necessarily when you're just getting married out of love, and then try to figure out things later on down the line. So, but I'm 18 years in, and same thing, Randy. I give all glory to my wife for her sacrifices, and I look up to Randy for his my marriage, for consistency and just being a solid foundation for his children and grandchildren. It's
Love it.
The one thing that I did learn, this is humorous, but this is true, is I made a comment, and my parents overheard this when I said I married up. And they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, what are you talking about? I want to know that one.
I said, I definitely married up. Talk about the Dancing with the Stars, how that whole happened. You called them, they called you. You said right from the beginning, who's taking second place, I'm winning. How did the whole thing go down?
Dude, it's so serendipitous how that happened. So I'm a true autodidact. I'm addicted to learning new things. And every off season, I picked up a new art. First off season, I picked up a guitar, learned how to play it. John Mayer inspired me. That's where it inspired me to pick up a guitar. The next off season, I picked up magic tricks. I know a buttload of magic tricks. And the next off season, I picked up Olympic style fencing. The next off season, archery. The next off season, poetry. Every single off season was something. The last off season in the NFL was at one of my buddies' shindig. We were having a good time eating, and on the TV a commercial pops up and people are dancing, synchronized, and it looked really good. And I remember eating, and I was like, "Yo, dang, that looked good, man. What are they doing?" One of my friends knew, and she said, "Oh, Rashad, they're doing the cha-cha." I said, "What the heck is a cha-cha?" She said, "That's ballroom dancing." I'm like, what the heck is ballroom dancing? I know nothing about dance at all. Other than getting on the dance floor, move around and sweating and stuff. But so I said, you know what? I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to ballroom dance. So I train every day in Fort Lauderdale, Florida from about 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then I got the rest of the evening. So I decided after one of my workouts, I'm going to go to one of these ballroom studios and figure it out. I Googled the nearest one, boom, walked in, opened the door, ding. Everybody's just there partnering up all daintily with each other. I look so out of place. I don't know the etiquette, I don't know the culture, I don't know nothing. And I knew I didn't know anything because I look back at myself and say I'm an idiot for this. But I walked in and the lady said, "How may I help you?" I said, "I'm looking for the cha-cha." I said it like it was a person. And luckily enough, she was like, "Sir, do you want to learn how to do the cha-cha?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." She pulled me over. She said, "Would you like public or private?" I said, 100% private. Can't nobody see this.
Right.
And she said, "We don't have any availability until 2 weeks from today." I said, "Sure, no worries. I'll be back in 2 weeks." Left. A week from that day, Dancing with the Stars called me.
Wow.
Never went to that ballroom studio to take a lesson because I went out. So I was going to pay a local ballroom studio to teach me, and then they paid me to learn from some professionals.
That's the best part of the story.
In the first dance we learned how to do was a cha-cha. So very serendipitous how all that ever happened, and I never seen the show, and I'm thankful I didn't, because remember I wanted private lessons. I didn't know this thing was gonna be, because my publicist said, "Hey, this is a good opportunity. You know, you get to learn how to dance, and because you've been talking about you want to learn how to dance, and it'll be a really good, and they're gonna pay you." And I've just said, "Okay," from there. Right. Man, I was out in front of the entire world dancing.
So I got to interject. That mindset that you have of always pushing yourself, trying new things, adventure. So many people are controlled by fear and judgment and anxiety and stress that they would never try something new. They're set in their ways. But that's what the next generation needs to overcome. Like, in my opinion, I think that's the biggest thing. And for you to live by example, that every off-season you do something outside the box, man, that's what's up.
Well, Rocky said that. It's not how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up, and try again and move on. So tell me, you first go out there. I mean, you're a competitor, you're an athlete. Do you look around and see who the competition is right away, or?
I didn't know how to size up the competition. So like football, I know how to look at your body and kind of figure out where your weaknesses may be at.
It would be my body.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Buffet is his weakness.
Yeah. I could tell if somebody could take a hit. It was just by looking at them. And but dancing, I don't even know how to size. I don't even know what I'm looking at. So no, I didn't size up competition. I legitimately went out there with the idea of I want to learn how to dance. I didn't think that I was going to make it to the next episode. I definitely didn't think I was going to win. That was the last thing on my mind. Until about week 7, when America didn't vote me off, and I looked and there was only like 5 of us left. I was thinking, yo, damn, what if I win this thing? And sure enough, I got to the finale, and America voted me to win. So it was great. But I tell you what, though, I encourage anybody. If you have somebody special, guys, if you got a special lady in your life, take a ballroom dancing. Allow yourself to be vulnerable. Allow yourself, for in that moment to take on something you've never done, and watch what happens, right? And I correlate the relationship of ballroom dancing to a man and a woman. The only reason a guy exists on the dance floor is only one reason, and that's to make her feel beautiful. Right. And the more you do a better job at making her feel beautiful, for some reason, from the outside, you look better as the man. And so I learned that through dancing, and I really enjoyed it. I actually teach dance now. and I'm going to keep on doing it.
Where do
I
you
tell
teach
you, any and everywhere, man. I got a studio I work with in San Diego. I got a studio down in Virginia, back in my hometown, and I do once a year. I'll put on a free clinic, but I fell in love with it, man. I do it everywhere I go.
I want to put something together, either in Fort Lauderdale, you mentioned Fort Lauderdale, or in the Tampa Bay area. We'll put a whole ordeal together and
Come
bring you
down
down.
and dance.
And, I don't do a lot of things outside of my box and stuff, but I want to do that.
You appreciate it, man. You really will.
Well, and again, I don't care if I appreciate it. You're right. My wife will appreciate it.
Bingo. Which you will receive the after effects of that her appreciation.
What's next for you? You say every year. So have you picked something for this year?
So I'm very interested in taking accent classes. Why? It's because I want to start. Next time y'all talk to me, I might do an interview like I'm from France or something. I might talk the whole interview like I'm from another country. I want to learn how to speak accent.
Which is funny. A lot of actors you don't even know. The star of Hawaii Five-0 is, I think, Australian. The fire chief in Chicago Fire has an accent. It's unbelievable. But, he's able, through training and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, next book, you have more books coming? Or?
Yeah, it's called Individualized Words. That's the next book that I'm working on. If you look at the dictionary, there was 322 new words added. And if you ask yourself, who added these words to the dictionary? If you ask yourself, where do these words even come from? Why are they in the dictionary the way they are, right? Lexiconographers put that together. Those are the people that are in charge of writing what these words mean. And they aren't in charge of giving the meaning of the words. They're in charge of explaining what society at large means when they say it. So these words are constantly changing by definition, not necessarily by its totality of meaning. So individualized words, there's a lot and this comes from relationships, right? If you tell somebody, I care for you, what does that mean to you? Right? So and what does that mean to you? If he said, I care for you, you're going to believe he means what you think that means. Right? And vice versa.
Food.
Right? I mean, I just got to eat something, man. What's up with the buffet, man? What's up with you and eating? What are you eating
He's
at?
the Hall of Fame director of the International Buffet Hall of Fame.
True story. So I travel with the UFC. I've been involved with the UFC from day one. Back in the day, the UFC would have one event every 6 months.
Okay.
Now it's every week. And I literally do think and research buffets, restaurants, all this. So I'm going to go next week when it's in Vegas and not this week when it's in Sacramento. I'm just throwing. Yeah, food.
Right.
We met because of food. He got involved in this radio show because he fed me pizza every week.
The pizza diet.
Yes, sir.
Well, not the diet.
Okay.
I own a pizza restaurant, and I want to change the image of an industry from junk food to health food. That's what spawned the pizza diet. Because I had to lead by my mouth, and put my pizza where my mouth was to lead by example to become a motivational person.
And I did it just to prove him wrong. So I ate the pizza, 2-3 times a week.
So I'm before, he's before, I'm out.
and it did work for sure.
I love it, man.
Thank you very much for coming on. This was outstanding. I really would like to do something in the Tampa Bay area. I think it would be cool, the radio, get some of our sponsors involved, to get some hotels involved.
And really for some of that next level, I own a mobile gym that trains you in the sympathetic nervous system. So there's no modality like it. I own 2 of them. There's only 2 in the state of Florida. They're in Tampa. So when you come through, I'll cook for you, provide the food, and we'll do the training, and we'll do the ballroom dancing, and we'll just change lives on the spot.
Dude, I'm game for it.
We'll definitely get it done. For coming on, we're going to get your address. We're going to send you a care package from 8 Man Strong, some gear, some swag, as well as a box of some of the best salsa you've ever had from Blue Smoke Salsa. So I appreciate your time.
Awesome, man. I appreciate y'all.
Let's go hit a quick break, and we'll set up the next buffet. We'll be right back.
That's cool.
Great job.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get to
man.
brag about myself.
Appreciate you, man. I want to try some of your pizza, man.
We're on time.
Hey, Steve, you got a photo real quick?
Taco,
So do you need
so
minutes?
pizzas.
Yeah, we're just at a break.
Okay, I'm gonna go get them some water.
Okay, awesome.
Got it.
How much? Appreciate it.
And then the camera goes.
And then, yes, sir. Thank you.
My lady, she's a series instructor in the Navy.
Oh, really? Well, thank God she's in the military.
Army's not the military. Coast Guard certainly isn't in the military. And it's funny, I say that all the time, and people walk by, they're like, Army's not it. But if you're in the military, you get it.
Yeah.
It's very good stuff.
I'm sure she'll get a laugh.
Yeah, tell her that. Ask her if she heard the new requirements to be in the Coast Guard.